because I haven't had one. I have my dad's laptop now because mine got completely destroyed, but I have Miss Lilia here in my new favorite outfit. This probably isn't coming off her anytime soon. It's these pink overalls. I'm glad I switched her body to jointed legs. They flop around much more. They're a little stiffer with the overalls though, because these are kind of tight at the thigh. But she's so cute, and the shirt's a little big, but you can't really tell because it's under the overalls. Hey, pretty girl. My little look-alike. She's so precious. I'm so glad I got her back from Tiny Tots. Madeline is there now, because I'm waiting on either Maria to contact me, or by April 10th, I'm just going to, I told her, I sent her, if you're watching this, Maria, contact me, because you can get some money back. If you can't complete, alright, sorry, guys, this is going to be a long, ranty video anyway, so if you don't want to hear me talking about passions and finding something you love, and then me reading some of my fan fiction, then bye. It's a pretty boring video. Oh my god, Lilia looks so real there. What are you looking at, sweetheart? But, what was I saying? Yes, Maria, if you're watching this, I sent you a letter to your house, and I've emailed you, and I've called you. You can get half your down payment. If you can't complete payment, I will give you half your down payment back, which never happens. Normally, you don't get a down payment back if you can't complete payment, but I'll give you half your down payment back if you contact me by April 10th. And, and that's if you can't complete payment. Of course, if you want to contact me saying that you want to complete payment, we can arrange that. But yeah, if I hear nothing by April 10th, that option is gone, and I'm just selling Madeline because it's been about a month. I love her ears. You got big ears, baby. Anyway, okay, now back to talking about passions. I was reading over this chapter of my fan fiction, and I could just feel myself getting so excited, and I just love that I can do that. I mean, a lot of my friends who write, I hate how I have this one hair hanging down here. We'll pretend it's a style. I love that with writing in particular, I can read it and get so excited, and especially if I forget some of the story and I'm rereading it and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? I'm like, I wrote this. I'm supposed to know what's going to happen next, but I don't, because I'll forget, and I'll reread my old stuff, and, you know, it might not be as grammatically and it might not be as well written, but I can appreciate it for the story, and I think that's a great thing. Oh my god, I love you so much. It's distracting. And yeah, and I know a lot of my writer friends have a hard time doing that, but really just find something that gets you that excited that you can do yourself. And I love doing, you know, this with the dolls too. Like, I mean, right now I'm looking at Lily and I'm just like, oh my god, I love her so much. And I'm like, I made this thing here. She may not have popped out of my vagina, but I painted her. I know she's a doll and everything, but she's still my little girl. I think she's earned her forever baby spot here. Boop, 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 boop. I didn't necessarily miss her, sorry, when she was at Tiny Tots, but when I got her back is when I was like, oh my god, I missed you. I missed having a newborn baby. A little girl. Alright, and yeah, so writing does that for me a lot, and this chapter of my fan fiction, it just made my heart just, and it has become so therapeutic for me, because there's kind of spoilers, but not really. All the stuff that happens, you're kind of just like, oh yeah, that would make sense. And from the beginning, you know that Tess, my character, is, she's just based off of me. My mental idea of myself if I were in a galaxy far, far away. But, yes. And she, yeah, she is Luke and Leia's sister through Padme, and she's trying to figure out how that is possible. And she has no idea how it's possible. And she has force powers, which, you know, they say she's their half-sister. Like, all she knows is that she's Padme's daughter, who's Luke and Leia's mother. And, So they all have the same mother, but she has force powers, and it's like, what are the odds that, they have different fathers who both have the force? Hello, I'm making a video. That's Caitlin.
Oh, right. Really was nice.
But anyway, I'm gonna have to clip this video up. Darn it. She's talking to her mom on the phone. Actually, no, I'm not going to. This is just gonna be a really long video. Alright. So I'm gonna read you chapter 36 of my fan fiction.
75, 74, /5, 4, 86.
I love how Lily is making the same face I am.
5,
But
4, 8,
it's chapter 36, which takes place on Endor. This is right around the time, if you've seen the movies, episode 6, right around the time where, right before Luke tells Leia that they are siblings. Alright, just ignore Caitlin. I'm going to give you Lilia to look at. She's so pretty. I want to make another Leia portrait baby from the Livy sculpt by Sabine Altenkirch one day. Alright, chapter 36. Tess watched her feet sway back and forth, hanging lazily off an Ewok-made bridge. She could hear 3PO telling their new friends the stories of their travels across the galaxy in the nearby hut. The Ewoks listened fixedly as the golden droid used his programming to create the exact sounds of exploding ships and clashing lightsabers. It seemed the Ewoks enjoyed making clothing for human females, because even though Han and Luke were much dirtier and sweatier than both girls had been, the short, furry aliens felt compelled to make another dress for Tess. 3PO may have mentioned something about it, typical of Ewok culture, to offer gifts to the women of a visiting party, but Tess wasn't really paying attention. The 15-year-old reached out her palm. She dreamily floated her blue-green lightsaber above it, watching the reflection of the night stars play on the cool metal. She slowly guided the device through the air and traced her name with it, a control exercise Luke used to make her do. Once that became tiresome enough, she ignited the lightsaber and started carving her name into a nearby tree. Sometime during the first couple characters of her last name, Tess's sister emerged from the Ewok hut and sat beside her. Leia just watched and said nothing. "Getting tired of snuggling your smuggler?" Tess asked. "Say that 10 times fast," Leia joked, "and no force powers." "Not even the force is that powerful," the younger sister chuckled, assuming it would help at all with tongue twisters. Leia shrugged. "I don't know," she sighed, her shoulders lifting and falling. "That's your department and Luke's. I have no idea what the force can and can't do." Tess wondered where this was going exactly. Sometimes Leia was as clear as day to her younger sister, and sometimes her intentions were so clouded that Tess questioned whether she could read the princess at all.
Mommy!
"So," Leia continued, meeting Tess's eyes, "I think I should get a better understanding of the Force before I decide whether it's bad for you or not." There was a time when hearing that from Leia would have sent Tess jumping out of her boots with joy, but this moment was not like that. Expecting quite the opposite of Tess's simple nod, Leia looked her sister over. "What's the matter?" she asked with soft concern. Such a good question. Tess had been asking herself that all night. The Force was one link to who she was. Not being able to use it was like smothering her very identity. Leia was kind of afraid of the Force, and she told Tess not to use it. She's older sister, trying to be protective. The Force was once a link to who she was. Not being able to use it was like smothering her very identity. But now that she was a bit older, she just saw how remarkable she was for her age and experience. If Force sensitives were as common as the natural shipmen and racers in pilot academies, the Empire wouldn't want her and Luke's heads on a stick. "There's still so much that I don't know," Tess finally responded, exhaling through the words as if relieving some burden. Leia turned to face her. "About what?" asked the princess. "Me," Tess blurted, her eyes moving towards Leia. "What am I?" Leia froze. Her dark eyes widened like saucers as if caught in a lie, but she tried to hide it. She quickly changed her demeanor from guilty to comforting. "What do you mean, what are you?" Leia uttered softly, tucking a hair behind Tess's ear. "You're my sister." Tess gently moved Leia's hand away. "Am I?" asked the 15-year-old with uncertainty, pulling herself to a stand. "You once told me that Padme DeBerry died 8 years before I was born. Was that a lie?" Tess could sense Leia's unease. She knew that the princess kept secrets, but as this conversation started, Tess could feel that she hit those confidences right between the eyes. "No, that was not a lie." The princess rose to her feet, reaching a height not much taller than Tess. The younger of the two felt tears well up behind her eyes. Then which is a lie? She demanded. They can't both be true. You can't say that our mother died before I was born and then say that we're sisters. Neither of them are lies, Leia insisted. She put a hand on each of Tess's shoulder as an attempt to calm her down. Tess, there's quite a bit that you don't know, but what you do know is all true. I have a right to know the rest, Tess insisted angrily. It's not a coincidence that I'm Force-sensitive, or that I'm your sister, or that Bail Organa kept me locked away close by like some big secret, and some, if not all of those coincidences, are the reason that the Empire is after me. But there's something else that's connecting all of these, and you're not telling me what it is. What is it? Leia just stood there looking down at her sister. She said nothing. What is it? Tess repeated. What aren't you telling me? Tess, I can't. Yes, you can, Tess cried, blue lightning flying from her fingertips and hitting the wood beneath her. The 15-year-old looked at the black scorch mark with confusion and fear, then snapped back up to Leia for an explanation. Her expression softened a little and tears began to fall. Sometimes I just can't control it, she sobbed. There's this emptiness, almost a darkness, and it seems like... I don't know. Her voice trailed off. Tess took several deep breaths before continuing. Was I born like this? Was it done to me? Did someone make me like this? Tess caught Leia in a moment of tensing up during her last sentence. That's it, Tess muttered. Someone made me like this. I can feel it now. Though one would imagine the certainty of an answer she had wanted for so long would be comforting, she dreaded that particular explanation. It all made so much sense now. That's not it, Leia interjected. Not exactly. Please, Tess, just drop it. I won't do this now. Then when, Leia? Tess exclaimed. Do I have to find out when Darth Vader drags me kicking and screaming to a torture room? Because he seems to know. And Chid Deltron knew something, that was for sure. Wouldn't you rather I hear this from my sister, assuming that wasn't a lie? She paused, her chest heaving with anger as she caught her breath and stifled her sobs. Or maybe, she muttered darkly, you just can't bear to face whatever the hell your picture-perfect daddy got into to get stuck with me. Maybe Bail Organa wasn't so perfect. Suddenly, Tess was silenced by a slap to the face. Just as quick as she gave Tess a hard strike to the cheek, Leia's hand retaliated back and clapped over her mouth in shock. The princess shook her head slowly, tears pouring from her eyes. Tess, I'm so... Don't! Tess screamed. Her chin quivered, absolutely livid. I know he was perfect for you, but Leia, if he wanted to do what was best for me, he would have explained things a long time ago. You have no idea what it's like, not knowing where my mind goes. The possibilities, I have no idea who I am or what I'm doing here or why, because he didn't tell me. Leia's head fell forward with sobs. She attempted to stifle them with her hands. Whether she had a response or not, she was in no position to give one. But Leia, Tess stated more calmly, you can. Please, I know you have some idea of how and why I'm standing here with you right now. Please, Leia, I need the truth. I need to know who I am, why I ended up here with you, Luke, and Han. Why the Empire is interested in me. Tess looked down at her fingers, which glowed blue from residual anger. Why I can do what I do. Leia just stared at Tess at first, expressionless. Then she spun around and began walking towards the hut. Tess grabbed her arm. Where are you? I won't tell you, Leia snapped at her sister. Before the younger could retaliate, the princess held up a finger to pause her. I won't tell you, Leia reiterated evenly, because I have to show you. End of chapter. So yeah, oh my gosh, just reading that. I can't even explain how much fun it is to write those intense scenes, and the relationship between Leia and Tess a lot of times reflects the relationship between me and my mother. Except I understand Leia better, so it kind of helps me understand my mom by putting us in similar situations. Like, Tess is getting older, she wants to know more, but, Leia's kind of sheltering her. And just like me and my mom have different religious views, like Tess believes in the Force, she uses the Force, whereas Leia is kind of afraid of it. She doesn't know what it is, and all it does is remind her of Vader, and, he completely destroyed her life. So yeah. And Tess has a problem where, like, when she gets angry, like, this Force lightning comes out of her hands. And that kind of reflects how, when I lost myself in depression when I was younger, it's been years, but I used to cut myself. and she sometimes burns her hands because the lightning gets so bad. She doesn't even realize it. And so yeah, that too. Anyway, if you're still here, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really, really enjoy reading to people. I used to read to all my hall buddies, but now nobody I know is at least, I mean, there are some people interested, but nobody's caught up and like right there for me to be like, okay, I have a chapter, let's read. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Lily, say bye. She's so cute. Oh my gosh. You're never leaving me again. Love you guys. Bye.